One of the things that I learned during my 2 deployments is, you go through your residency training and you really are learning the art of practicing the most advanced, up-to-date medical care that you can do. It's very hard to simulate caring for the injuries that you see during wartime. And I know during my own training, obviously we were just now getting into war. And so, when I deployed, there was a learning curve for me because I was working in an intensive care unit during the surge in Iraq. And so taking care of burn victims, taking care of patients with multiple amputations, doing massive transfusions, involving and doing obviously cardiology care as part of that, where we're doing ultrasounds, echocardiography, stress tests on people with chest pain in theater. That was a real learning curve. And you're doing it in an austere environment, which you're often not used to as coming out of training. You're doing it many times without the same resources that you're maybe used to. If you've done your training in a tertiary care hospital, where you've got a cath lab right down the hall, and you've got a subspecialist at your fingertips. And so that to me was the most gratifying part of it, was being able to provide excellent care in a tent. Being able to provide excellent care when you didn't have those things. And it really, I think, solidified to me the fact that we had received really good training. I think a lot of us learned that you can provide really good care, and the Army and the Navy and the Air Force all do a great job of sending forth really advanced equipment. I mean, I was in the middle of Iraq working in a tent with one of the best ultrasound machines you could find, and I had the best stress test machine probably in all of Iraq. And while I didn't have a cath lab, I learned to deal with that. I think our air evacuation system was remarkable to see in practice, because that's something that I'd never experienced. So the ability to take a wounded warrior, whether it's someone with a heart attack or someone with multiple amputations, patch them up, do damage control surgery, give them the medicines they need, pop them on the back of a plane where they've got a flying ICU, and to see that person back a year later walking around Walter Reed, to know that they made that amazing trip to Landstuhl, to Walter Reed, or to Brooke Army Medical Center, or wherever, and to see that apparatus that we have put forth is amazing to see in practice. And I tell you that the survival rates from these wars, I think, for me, has been the most gratifying thing to see, that it's working. People are surviving from injuries that 20 years ago they never would have survived from. It's a true honor to take care of veterans. It's a busy job. I mean, so the challenges that I have as a cardiologist are probably the same ones that you're seeing in the community. Not enough hours in the day. There's a tremendous amount of patients with heart disease that have, or patients with complaints or symptoms that could be heart disease, and so we're very busy. I think from a day-to-day role, there's always the challenge for with your family, just knowing that you could be called away from your family at a moment's notice. And so that's something that is always a challenge, not so much for me, but I think for my wife and kids, just knowing that that's a possibility. But I think the day-to-day challenges are like any cardiologist. There's not enough hours in the day. You're trying to make sure you're doing the right thing for every patient, staying up on the literature, and teaching fellows what they need to know.